now I know my brother is in the school system in Detroit, and it's hard for him to even get parents to come down when he calls them because they can't miss that day. You see, so I think emphasis has to be put on people being the prime objective, you know, in the community, and not so much stress put on protecting the property, because really there is no property without people, and it's everybody's obligation in their community to see that the people in their community are worthwhile citizens. I think it all has to come back to everybody being concerned in the neighborhood about their neighborhood and being aware of what's happening there. You know, because I remember a lot of times I would go and I'd have a temptation to do something wrong when I was a kid, but the lady down the street was watching you. And if she didn't chastise you, all she had to do was let somebody know, and you were chastised.
In the beginning of his career, this performer was a gospel musician nonetheless. He rose to recognition as an R&B singer and was a member of George Clinton's P-Funk group. This vocalist's improvisational talents helped him become the Spinners' main singer in the 1970s. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Philippe Wynne. Before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push the notification bell to be sure you won't miss on any more uploads. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. Philip Escalante Walker was born on April 3rd, 1941 in Cincinnati, Ohio, to Degree Walker and Annie Wynne Walker, who divorced in November 1947. After the divorce, custody was given to their father, Degree Walker, as their mother, Annie, had fled to Detroit with another man. Philippe and his 3 siblings were sent to Cincinnati, Ohio's new orphanage asylum for colored children, sometime in 1952. Wynne started his musical career as a gospel singer after traveling to Detroit with his brother in the early 1960s. Philippe and his brother Michael fled the orphanage in 1956 and traveled to Detroit, Michigan in search of their mother. In the early 1960s, the siblings started a gospel group named the Walker Singers in Detroit. Later, Philippe started singing R&B and adopted his mother's surname Wynne, omitting the E. Wynne stated in 1981 that the fact that both of his parents were still living was the most difficult aspect of being placed in an orphanage. Philippe found modest success in 1968, singing with Bootsy Collins' Pacemakers and then with James Brown's JBs. Wynne spent some time in Germany as the main vocalist of the Afro Kings, a Liberian band. When his cousin G.C. Cameron left the Spinners to go solo, he took over as one of the main vocalists.
With Philippe Wynne, and a lot of people didn't know that, but that was Philippe Wynne singing on that.
Yeah, that was Philippe.
Philippe Wynne, of course, was a great lead singer for the Spinners.
You know, he started out with Bootsy.
Did he really?
Back in Cincinnati, after leaving James Brown, Bootsy Collins formed a new band called the House Guests, which featured his brother Catfish, Frankie Waddy, and a talented local singer named Philippe Wynne.
We came back to Cincinnati, got in the basement, started driving Mama crazy. We started practicing, and we started getting back out on the road, you know, promoting ourselves. We come up with a new name, and we do what we do.
Philippe, sweatband. Yeah, he started out with Bootsy. They came to Detroit to audition with the Funk.
The House Guests paid the bills playing behind singers passing through town. One day they got a call in Detroit from the Spinners, who were looking for a new band and a new singer.
Oh God, not another backup band. You know, but then we looked at ourselves, it was like, okay, what else have y'all got going on, you know? So we go to Detroit.
Philippe Wynne would go on to lead the Spinners to pop stardom.
And he went with the Spinners and Bootsy came with us.
He sang with the Spinners until 1977, when the group had numerous popular albums and singles. Wynne sang lead vocals on big singles such as How Could I Let You Get Away,
You too, like basketball, 5,000.
The Rubber Band Man,
You and me, we're going out to catch the latest sounds.
a one-of-a-kind love affair.
You make it for love. Whoa.
Wynne was one of the Spinners' 3 lead singers, but after a few years, he requested that the group's name be changed to Philippe Wynne and the Spinners. When this was refused, he quit the group to pursue a solo career with Alan Thicke as his manager. Neither Wynne nor the Spinners will reach the same degree of success they had when they worked together.
With Philippe Wynne on board, the Spinners signed with Atlantic Records in 1972.
But it's a small world, ain't it?
I'm telling you. Now, he died, it's about 6 years ago, is it now?
Well, about 5 or 6 years, you're right.
Yeah. Where were you when you found out about that?
I think I was in upstate Michigan fishing. When we got back, somebody had told us about it because I knew the tour. He was in San Francisco. Yeah, that was a great loss, too.
I'm telling you.
He was a heck of a performer. Yeah.
He really was, and people that never got a chance to see him, I mean, you missed something. Philippe was that.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, just on record, at least you do get it on record,
Oh,
you know.
when he got excited, it was like, glory, how was stupid, because, I mean, he shouted across funk or pop or whatever it was. He got carried away. He's mad. He called me Bub. He said, Bub, let me on that knee deep, Bub, and I'll make you a record for you, Bub. Anybody got that much nerve, you know? Cool, you got it.
Is that right? That's how it happened.
Well, there was like 40 or 50 people on the record. Everybody in all the groups had just, you know, deposited their parts onto the knee deep. We were just one of those records where everybody felt good. It was right after One Nation. So he just happened to show up and they was all shooting the thing. And he said, hey, Bub, you can't finish that record, Bub. Not without me. So I said, well, go ahead on in and jump on it. And he jumped on it. It was like the #1 record, just like that.
But after the success of Rubber Band Man, Philippe Wynne demanded just that.
He wanted to change the name from the Spinners to Philippe and the Spinners or something of that sort.
Yeah, that stubborn thing in him, man. I said, Philippe. I said, let's look at this for a minute. Besides Rubber Band Man, have you ever sang the entire lead on Philippe? That has nothing to do with it. I said, yes, it does.
I think he was comfortable in the group, but I think the group was moving a little too slow for him at the pace he was moving. He was in a hurry to get somewhere.
We always had a feeling if we got bigger, he was gonna leave. If we got smaller, he was gonna leave.
Later on, he called me up and said, Dad, I'm gonna leave. So I think you're making a mistake. Oh, Mel, I know, man, I can do it. I think you're making a mistake.
After a concert in San Francisco on New Year's Eve of 1977, Philippe Wynne left the Spinners for good.
But at the end, when it come time for him to leave, I don't think he really wanted to go, but he had made up his mind. And once you make up your mind to do something and the wheels is in motion, and we had put our wheels in motion, you know, you can't go back.
Wynne's debut album, Starting All Over, was published in 1977 on Cotillion Records. Although it had no major songs, it was only moderately successful. In 1979, after being free from his contract by Cotillion Records, Wynne started collaborating with Parliament Funkadelic and George Clinton. The Funkadelic tune, Not Just Knee Deep, peaked at #1 on the Billboard R&B chart, and he was a featured performer on it.
The girls are free, the girl never misses the beat,
Additionally, Wynne reconnected with Bootsy Collins and had an appearance on the Sweat Band record, Wynne's second solo album. When Jammin' was published, the album did not sell well when it was released in 1980 by Uncle Jam Records. The treacherous 3-song, Whip It.
And if you don't know how, have none, so learn to whip and whip it right.
And Gene Dunlap's song, Something Inside My Head, both included Wynne as a guest. Philippe Wynne, his last album, was published by Sugar Hill Records in 1984.
But while the Spinners were still soaring, Philippe Wynne's career was falling apart. After leaving the group, Philippe recorded 3 solo albums, but none of them did much. He toured with George Clinton and sang on Parliament's top hit Knee Deep, but he never regained the prominence he'd enjoyed with the Spinners.
It's early in the morning and I don't really know what's happening with these guys. Kind of weird looking. But anyway, we have Philippe Wynne
'Tis the season to be funky.
Philippe Wynne and Sweat Band and part of Parliament. Philippe, as you remember, used to be with the Spinners. Philippe, you're on your own now. What's happening?
Right. Well, you know, we just completed the Windjamming album, and that's really what's happening, along with Sweat Band and Bootsy, and you see George Clinton in the back here, and all the guys from the Funkadelics. And hey, January we're going out, trumpet-lipping around the country, you know, and Houston, one more time.
I hear you. The name of the album is Philippe Wynne Windjamming.
And
it's nice.
January the single's gonna be off this album. Put Your Own Puzzle Together.
When Philippe got with George Clinton, he became no longer Philippe of the Spinners, but a background singer for George Clinton, which was very painful for Philippe.
We had a reunion tour, and we were sitting there talking, and he said, one thing I finally realized, he said, I found out the name Philippe Spinner don't mean nothing, but he didn't say it mean nothing. He used another word, you know.
He was a very nervous guy. He the same way he sang, the same way he did was the same way he was. He sweated all the time, and he had his energy level was high, constantly. He could never calm himself down.
Philippe Wynne was playing at Ivy's nightclub in Oakland, California on July 13th, 1984. The next morning, at the age of 43, he passed away from a heart attack. Philippe Wynne married a LaFleur in Las Vegas, Nevada on February 1st, 1973. Alvarez Escalante Wynne was born in 1975, and Emmanuel Wynne was born in 1973. Eventually, Philip and Avie got divorced, and both of his boys passed in tragic ways. In 1999, a drive-by shooting in Compton, California, claimed Alvarez's life. A year later, Emmanuel, who was residing in Daytona Beach, Florida, passed away. In 2000, he perished while attempting to help a guy who was drowning. Emmanuel was posthumously awarded a Medal of Honor. The Spinners and Philippe Wynne were inducted into the Rock Roll Hall of Fame in 2023. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song from Philippe Wynne?